the Scientific Investor channel, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Today I have prepared charts for you guys. This one is XRP on a 60-minute, and we have some patterns emerging. Then we'll go through XRP on a 4-hour chart. Then we'll move a bit back and look at XRP USD and a Bitcoin USD. Now we'll actually compare them to check the fluctuation in time and price, how these match up. Then we zoom into XRP USD and XRP BTC to check potential patterns which are being presented to us. Say something happened in the past and what's happening now. We'll actually zoom into each of them to analyze and understand what's happening so that we can check out the probabilities and the odds which are coming towards us in the future. But just before jumping into that, we would also like to go through some recent updates and news articles which look really important, because this is really important to have insights regarding these so that the fundamentals, why we stand for this particular asset, becomes more strong. Now guys, if you like the content I provide on a regular basis, please do support the channel, hit the subscribe button, and by the end of the video, if you like the content, do hit that like button. This one is tweeted by Cryptopolis, showing that there's an emergency call with G7, and it's a tweet from the street showing bank breaking. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and Fed Chair Powell lead emergency G7 phone call Tuesday morning. So we will have to check what is coming up to us, because if you read this from the XRP Crypto Wolf, you can actually understand US Treasury had a meeting with crypto leaders to discuss the challenges of regulating this space, and at the same time, now this is key for us, those who are here in XRP community. The US welcomes responsible innovation, including new technology that may improve the efficiency of financial system. Now, please, we know what he's talking about. Yes, it's not only XRP or RippleNet. We have competitors, like, even though they are not big like us, say we do have Stellar and others in the same space, but this is a giant space with if you consider this as a big cake, it can be distributed to a lot of financial institutions. Even if we get, say, one or two pieces of this cake, take 10-20%, that's gonna be enormous. So this is not something so small. Now this is the next one from Cryptopolis again, and he's showing you a image in which, if you just, like, this is his perspective, if we just replace this one with XRP logo, we can actually understand, because we have seen something similar previously. Like, if you're sending money, then it directly goes to your financial institution, then reaches the beneficiary's financial institution and to the beneficiary directly. There's no intermediary, no corresponding banks, no corresponding bank relations. So this is Fed now, as of now. So I have a doubt whether they are using something else in the background, say the RippleNet, because yeah, it is a possibility that they are using this technology, but they won't come out and state this, because recently we came to know about Bank of America, then we already know about Bank of England. So these are the giants in the financial reputed central banks. Now yes, when I say reputed central banks, most of them won't agree, because central banking system, it's not that cool when we consider what's happening in the background. Anyway, we won't jump into that. Instead, this one is from XRP Crow, that's at Stadas, and he's showing a question answered by Alex Holmes, CEO of MoneyGram, and the question is, will Ripple ever replace Swift? Now, the answer from him is like, securing larger and larger pieces of the pie is definitely not off the table. You do have to consider, it's asking that one day, right? Yeah, we don't know when the one day is gonna come, but we expect that it won't be much far. Yes, even though the financial system and the changes within the system takes a lot of time, the news which we just went through shows like there are something happening in the background. Now this one is from Legion, and he's showing you that the OECD recommends providing banks with liquidity to allow them to help companies with cash flow problems, and to consider reducing reserve requirements. Now, yes, based on the existing financial system, they do have the requirements where they have to have certain funds so that if an emergency situation occurs, they can manipulate that. In order to have that resilience factor, they really need to have that kind of a reserve. Now, if they can actually bring in some amount from their Nostro Vostro account, that would be helpful in this situation, right? And that is where XRP comes in as an on-demand liquidity tool. They can use liquidity within seconds. They don't have to have that in their bank account. Now, this is the first chart as we discussed. In this one, we can if we look, we can actually see some patterns. Now, in RSI, we can see some oversold area here. 1, 2, and 3, which I have pointed out. Yeah, there are others too, but when we look at the support area of this particular chart and look at the RSI, what you can see is whenever the price is reaching this support area, the price is showing you an overbought signal and it is bouncing to the upside. Now, when we actually look at the first bounce here, it is 18% and it took 3 days and 14 hours. Now, yes, we are not plotting the time frame here because most of the time we can't actually predict the time. But instead, if we just take out this pattern from here, say that 18.47% and plot it here, we get something like this. Now, why I'm actually looking at that? Why don't, is there a possibility that we can move further high? Yes, it is there. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at this particular area, say 18.47%. Here had a resistance. Now, what will it have if it is moving towards that side? Yeah, I believe we will have that resistance, and I'm gonna show you why I believe that. Now, at the same time, we do have this change in momentum in RSI, showing you that the strength of buying strength is actually increasing, and it's actually showing you that divergence from the price and RSI fluctuation. So when we look at this pattern, we can actually see, yeah, we were actually discussing about one broadening wedge here. Now this is a zoomed in view, right? So when we come back, step back a little bit, this is the broadening wedge we were talking about, but this is the bigger area. Say in 4-hour chart, when we are looking at this broadening wedge, which is a bearish broadening wedge, you do have to consider that we went to the upside, then came back to the support area. Again, we repeated that fluctuation, and now we actually went to the top area or the resistance, but we overshoot it a bit. If we consider that in a bearish momentum, we can say that this was a fake out. We didn't manage to go above, stay above, and move to the upside. So we can also say that it took in some more buyers and they are just stuck there. But if we actually look at this one, we can see that there is a change in trend. Something is happening. Now, this pattern which I highlighted here, saying that 18.4% can be top for this particular one, is the reason for that is this one. It was acting as a resistance here, support here, then again resistance all these time. So if the price is coming back here and getting resisted here, then you should be a bit cautious about this, because unless that is confirmed, getting in will not be that cool. Say, for example, you can actually see this pattern in which there is a possibility it may retrace back. Now, if this act as a support even during that time, that is going to be a positive news. But if it doesn't, then we are going to have a free fall. Now, that is based on this particular chart. But I personally believe that it's not going to happen, because these patterns which we see here, like the rounded bottom or the head and shoulders or the broadening wedge, those are patterns which show you that it's a reversal. The potential reversal is happening. Now, this is a chart from XRP and BTC comparison. Say at first we had a pump in before 2014, say around 2000%, around 1500%. Yeah, not much different considering the fluctuation. Then from the bottom till the top, it gave you 12,000%, and here in XRP from the bottom to the top gave you about 100,000%. Then if you actually look at the pattern, it's more or less similar. Just the difference here is BTC took a long time to make this 12,000%, whereas XRP was kind of, going down, consolidating, kicking out all the weak hands, and then pumping like crazy. It just went up to 100%. Guys, if you are looking at this and if you are new to this uh, community, you just bought and say somewhere here and you don't see any movement happening in last 2 years, don't be surprised if something like this happens. Now yes, looking back to the pattern here, you can actually see that it is emerging as similar. You can actually see a similar pattern here, right? So it's kind of repeating itself. So as guys, most of the guys in the crypto community is stating every alt is following BTC. Okay, if you are looking at it at that perspective, you do have to look at it in the multiple perspective which is connected to it, right? So this is XRP BTC and XRP USD. So in this pattern, you can actually see that we actually came down, like after the pump up, we came to the bottom slowly. Then when it pumped, it was like boom. Again, the same repeated here. We came down slowly and the pump was like zoom. So if that's gonna happen again here, which most likely it will be happening, because the history and the patterns and trends repeat, just the time frame can be a bit different. Now this pattern which you are seeing here is the consolidation area before this pump. Yes, if you zoom in here, you can actually find the similar pattern here, but I think this is more or less similar to that of this one. Now if we actually zoom into that particular area, that's this one, and look at it at the end, why we are looking at the end, the patterns here looks so similar to that of what we had recently. So I'm looking at this particular area. Now if you look at this range, say first quarter, you can actually see that we went below that support. Then tried to come back above that. Yes, we made it a bit, but it was kind of a fake out, and then again we went back down that range, made a new low, then slowly moved to the upside. But yes, the fluctuation and time may be a bit different every time, because why I state that, we made a new bottom here, which is a new bottom compared to all these areas, and it's also giving you a huge head and shoulder, and at the same time it's also matching with the pattern here. It came down, went up, tried it, was resisted, again came back below and slowly made a rounded bottom and moved to the upside. So if you are looking at that, you can actually see that it came below, went up, tested that area, but it couldn't hold its ground. It came back. Now if we are consolidating and making a rounded bottom here, it not only validates this head and shoulder like this, but also shows you a similar pattern to this thing. So you know what happened after that, right? It was a blast off. So if we are looking at that in terms of USD, you can see the fluctuation here. Now I was explaining this because most of the guys were concerning about BTC, how it's doing, blah blah blah. Anyway, now this is again 4-hour chart of XRP in which I'm using a Bollinger Bands and RSI. Now, as we discussed in the first one, we can actually see a divergence in RSI for XRP, and at the same time, yesterday we actually discussed about the engulfing pattern, piercing line and all, right? So we are actually getting that one here. That's kind of showing you that trend is kind of reversing. Be prepared. And again, we are getting that here after this pump and a higher low here. So that is kind of showing you there is something brewing. And along with the RSI, if the price is managing to break above 0.24 and hold there, it should actually indicate that in the first chart which we just saw, we can actually look for this 18.47%. Now, not directly going to shoot up to this 75% at the top of this broadening wedge unless we manage to break about this area. So you should actually keep that in mind. That's an area of caution for this one. Now guys, that's all for today, and again I would like to request you guys, if you received value from the video, please do support the channel, hit the subscribe and like button. I'll meet you guys on the next one. Bye for now.